High Commander Drexivor of the Artelian Galactic Empire stood before the cell's observation panel, studying the human captive with mild curiosity. The prisoner sat motionless on the floor, back against the wall, eyes closed. He had been this way for nearly 6 hours, barely moving except for the steady rise and fall of his chest. "This is the intruder?" Drexivor asked, mandibles clicking with skepticism. "Yes, High Commander," confirmed Security Director Zilmar. "We apprehended him, attempting to access the primary communication hub on Level 7. Drexivor's compound eyes narrowed. "A primitive human spy, then?" "We believe so," Zilmar agreed, although he was carrying minimal equipment and claimed to be separated from a diplomatic envoy. The High Commander made a dismissive gesture with his upper limbs. "A transparent deception. Humans lack the neural capacity for effective espionage. Their brains cannot retain complex information without technological assistance." He turned to leave. "Extract whatever intelligence he possesses, then schedule him for processing. The Biological Research Division always needs specimens." "As you command, High Commander." Inside the cell, Commander Michael Reeves of United Earth Navy SEAAL Team 12 listened to the alien's conversation through vibrations in the floor. His translator implant was subcutaneous and undetectable by the Artelian scanners, one of many modifications made to the elite soldiers of Earth's special naval combat units. When the mission to infiltrate the Artelian flagship had gone sideways, Reeves had implemented Protocol Huntsman, allowing himself to be captured to gain access to the interior security systems. What the Artelians saw as capitulation was actually the first phase of his contingency plan. Insufficient neural capacity, he thought with grim amusement. Humans had learned long ago that appearing less advanced than they actually were provided tactical advantages. The door to his cell hissed open, and 2 guards entered, their exoskeletons enhanced with combat mechanisms. Between them floated a spherical device that Reeves recognized as an Artelian neural extractor designed to forcibly pull information from a subject's brain. "Stand, human," ordered the first guard. "You will now provide the information we require." Reeves opened his eyes slowly, as if waking from a meditative state. His placid expression revealed nothing of the calculations running through his mind: distances, reaction times, weak points in Artelian physiology that he had memorized during mission prep. "I'm just a diplomatic security officer," he said calmly, rising to his feet with deliberate slowness. "There's been a misunderstanding." The second guard made a sound like grinding metal, the Artelian equivalent of derisive laughter. "Your primitive deceptions are useless. The extractor will obtain the truth." "That's unfortunate," Reeves said, his voice still remarkably calm. "For you." The guards hesitated, something in the human's tone triggering warning instincts. Their species had evolved over millennia of predator avoidance. It was a momentary pause, less than a second, but for a man with Reeves' training, it was all the opening he needed. He moved with explosive speed that belied the casual stillness he had maintained for hours. His first strike targeted the neural cluster at the base of the first guard's thorax, a precision blow that sent the alien into immediate paralytic shock. The second guard's reflexes were marginally faster, allowing him to deploy a stun baton from his exoskeleton, but Reeves was already inside his reach. The SEAL's augmented muscles, another modification, undetectable to standard scanners, allowed him to tear the weapon from the guard's grasp and redirect it with brutal efficiency. The alien collapsed beside his comrade, both incapacitated in under 5 seconds. Reeves immediately accessed the floating neural extractor, interfacing with its security protocols, using techniques developed through decades of reverse engineering alien technology. Within moments, he had reprogrammed the device to serve his purposes. "Central Security, what is the status of the prisoner extraction?" crackled a voice over the guard's communication system. Reeves picked up the device, his voice a perfect imitation of the first guard's distinctive vocal patterns, another SEAL capability. Proceeding as planned. Subject is cooperative. He pushed the neural extractor into the corridor, where its cameras provided him a complete view of the surrounding area. The hallway was clear. Stepping out of the cell, Reeves moved with purpose toward his primary objective, leaving the unconscious guards locked inside. 3 decks above, Security Director Zilmar was reviewing sensor logs when alerts began flashing across his terminal. Security protocols were being overridden across multiple systems, environmental controls, communication networks, and most alarmingly, the primary weapon targeting matrix. "Impossible," he whispered, mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. The prisoner couldn't. The door to the security center slid open, revealing the human they had captured mere hours ago. He stood with the casual confidence of a predator in its natural environment, no longer presenting the docile demeanor of a diplomatic officer. "Security override Alpha 7 Tango. Confirm," the human said, his voice triggering cascading system failures throughout the ship's defense network, failures that should have been impossible without command-level access codes. "What are you?" Zilmar demanded, rising from his station as alarm klaxons began to wail throughout the vessel. "Just a soldier," the human replied with unsettling calmness. "But where I come from, being just a soldier means something very different than it does in your empire." Zilmar lunged for the emergency containment control, but froze as the human's next words registered in his neural processors. "I've already transmitted the tactical schematics of your flagship to my team. Right now, 3 stealth vessels are moving into position around this ship. You have 2 options: stand down and agree to diplomatic negotiations, or continue this confrontation and lose your entire command." "You're bluffing," Zilmar responded, but his voice lacked conviction. No human could have accessed and transmitted that level of secure data. The human merely smiled and activated a holographic display from the modified neural extractor he carried. It showed 3 approaching vessels that had somehow evaded the flagship's perimeter sensors, vessels with configurations Zilmar had never seen before. "My name is Commander Michael Reeves, United Earth Navy SAAL Team 12, the human said. "And you should know that my capture was never an accident." High Commander Drexavor stood rigidly in the diplomatic chamber, surrounded by his advisors as they faced the human delegation that had arrived under terms he still couldn't quite believe he had accepted. "The security breach has been contained," an aide reported quietly. "But we still don't understand how one human penetrated our defenses so thoroughly." Drexvor's compound eyes fixed on Commander Reeves, who now stood among his fellow humans. His demeanor transformed into that of a professional military attaché. Nothing in the human's current bearing suggested the individual who had, just hours earlier, compromised the most advanced battleship in the Artelian fleet and effectively held it hostage until reinforcements arrived. "We have significantly underestimated these humans," Drexler acknowledged bitterly. "Our intelligence suggested they were physically unexceptional and technologically inferior. A misconception we may have inadvertently encouraged," admitted the human diplomatic envoy with a small smile. "Humanity learned long ago that appearing less threatening has strategic advantages." As the formal negotiations began, Commander Reeves caught the High Commander's gaze. No words were exchanged, but the message was unmistakable. The Artelian Empire had arrested a human soldier, unaware he was a Navy SEAL, and that mistake had altered the balance of power in their corner of the galaxy forever. In the revised intelligence report, Drexavor submitted that cycle. He included one decisive recommendation: never underestimate humans, especially the ones who appear most ordinary.